Welcome to Women in the Arena podcast, the podcast celebrating women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. I'm your host, Audra Egan, and our mission is to elevate the value, strength, and resilience each woman brings to the world. Without further delay, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome in, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me again this week. This week, our guest is here to help bring us into the new year. My guest this week is Paula Agudelo, and she is a sacred interior designer, and I can't wait for you to find out what that means. She's also a design coach specifically for professional women, and she has devoted her time and her passion to creating sacred spaces. And we're going to talk about what sacred spaces are and the importance of creating them within our environment. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you Paula. Paula, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're talking about design and we're talking about sacred spaces, but let's first talk about what you are trained to do and what has led you into creating these spaces specifically for women and why they're important to have them.
Amazing. Well, I am an interior designer. I went to school at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and I did the Art Institute of Pittsburgh many years ago. I am also a Kundalini yoga teacher. I'm certified in all kinds of feminine embodiment and somatic practices. And so what I have done and what that sacred interior designer kind of title means is that we design sacred spaces in the home space through feminine embodiment, spiritual development, and interior design. So it's kind of a merge of all those three things. How did I get here? A few things. I think one of the first things that brought me here unknowingly was as a kid, I had quite an interesting, upbringing. My dad died when I was really little, and there was just a lot going on in my home. My mom was really depressed, and I was really lonely. And I think just intuitively, I started creating sacred space for myself through painting furniture and art, and kind of making the one room that I had, which I used to share with my sister, and that's a whole story. But I used to share this space, and I found a lot of just refuge in creating that space for myself. Later on in life, after I went to school for design, I started working for high-end design firms, and I realized there was this gap in the industry where I was designing really beautiful, opulent, and luxurious spaces, but I wasn't seeing the connection to how that affected someone's life. And there was like that just soul piece that was missing. And so that kind of created a disappointment for me, if that's the right word. And then when I went through deeper senses of loss in my life as an adult, and then also entered a time of a lot of joy in my life when I was a stay-at-home mom and gave birth to my daughter at home, that's when it really hit me that my space, the home that I had put so much effort, time, and money designing, was more than just a really beautiful space. It was a space that held such a clear reflection of the vision I had for this birth and how I was going to welcome my daughter into the world at home, in the water, under the full moon, surrounded by so many beautiful things that meant a lot to me. And so I always say that when Luna, that's my daughter's name, was born, that's when Sacred Interiors, which is my business, really was born.
So you're creating these beautiful spaces that welcome in creativity and peace and joy and allow us to recharge and re-energize ourselves in this space. But you've done something even a step further, and we're talking about this in the beginning of the new year of 2024, where many people, including myself, create vision boards and the power that is a vision board. And full transparency, my friend who puts on these vision board parties will attest that before I did my first vision board, I literally thought it was just arts and crafts before that. I doubted the power of a vision board. Did the vision board, then I can finally see and experience the power of this. You take that to an entire new level and you basically use your home as a canvas to create a living, breathing vision board when you're creating these sacred spaces. So let's start with why do you want a sacred space and what does it do?
Reason we want a sacred space, and you spoke of this at the beginning where you mentioned I work with professional women. So as women, I know that we have these standards of life that we want to create for ourselves. There's a certain way we want to show up in our relationships, in our parenting, in our career, in our business, in our friendships. Like, I know that ambitious women who just have high standards for their life want a lot out of life and are working to become better versions of themselves all of the time. But what I have noticed is that a lot of women who are in that space of desiring that, of becoming that, their physical space doesn't really match that persona. It's like, I always explain this, like when you see an actress in a movie, it's like the set that is her house matches the character that she's playing. And I feel like a lot of us are amazing at work, amazing in our parenting, amazing at so many things that we do, but yet our house doesn't reflect that. And so part of the reason why a sacred space is really important is because it becomes a mirror effect and a reminder of who we are working towards becoming, who we are striving to be each day as we're improving ourselves, as we're bettering ourselves. And not because we aren't already good enough, because that's absolutely not what we're doing, but because we're growing and we're evolving and we are improving in our lives. And so a sacred space is an opportunity for seeing that, becoming more aware of that, of what we're working towards. A sacred space is an opportunity to be more intentional with how we are doing everything, from the most mundane thing, like getting our kids ready for school and making dinner and taking care of ourselves in the bathroom and all the things that we do to, adorn our bodies and all of that. But it's also about creating a space of connection where we get to also design the kind of family culture we want to have, the kinds of boundaries we're creating with our children, with our partners. So a sacred space is really a reflection of what you are wanting out of life. And to me, that's why we create sacred spaces, is because we are manifesting more in our life. You touched on the vision board piece, which, yeah, I absolutely love. And I'll love to get into that if you're ready.
I'm ready because,
Yeah.
like I said, Brenna, if you're listening, you know that when you first invited me to a vision board party, I thought, I'm going because I adore you and this might be fun. I doubted the power of a vision board, and now I am a devotee because it's an amazing experience. It's amazing what you can bring forth. And I'm super excited to hear about how you turn your home into a living, breathing vision board.
Yeah. And I love that because I too had once upon a time that skepticism around vision boards, or kind of just like downgraded the power of them. And they were fun, but it would be the thing that you do, you have fun with your friends, and then you put it in a closet somewhere. And then a few years later, you find it and you're like, oh, yeah, this was fun, but nothing really came of it. And so the approach that I use is based on feng shui. And that is essentially an opportunity to design your home to match the intentions you have for 9 areas of your life. And so we essentially create a grid, like a tic-tac-toe grid with 9 areas from the floor plan of your home. And each of those grids, or guas, which is the name in feng shui, is a living, breathing manifestation of your home that relates to an area of life, such as your career, which is also your area of purpose, of dharma, like what you're here to do in the world. There's an area of wisdom and knowledge, which relates to any skills that you're wanting to learn, anything that you're doing new in terms of a certification, something you're learning, or also relates to your spirituality, your connection to a higher power, your growth as a human. Then we also have the area of friendships and network and community, which is really powerful when you're in business. Who you meet, who you get in relationship with, what kinds of relationships are we cultivating? Those are kind of like the foundational questions about that area. Then we have the area of children and creativity. And this is an area of parenting, whether you have children or not, oftentimes is about reparenting yourself and taking care of your inner child. And it's also an area that sparks creativity and energy of inspiration, whether it's for work, for relationship. We need creativity for everything. We have in the center what we call the area of well-being. And that's pretty much mind, body, spirit. Where's your health at? Your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. In the middle here on the left, I'm like very visual, so I'm seeing the picture of the board in my mind. We have the new beginnings and family area. This is usually an area where we deal with our ancestors, where we tune into forgiving the past, improving our relationships with our family, releasing anything that keeps us stuck from our childhood. And then also where we kind of create momentum for new projects, new businesses, new ideas. And then the last three that we have at the very top is your area of wealth and money, self-explanatory, your area of relationship, romance, marriage, and self-love. And then last but not least is the area of fame and reputation. So how you want to be known in the world and whether or not we're in integrity, meaning does how people see me match how I see myself? And so all of that to say that when clients come to me, they might come to me because they are struggling in their marriage. They might come to me because they just want their bedroom to look better and feel better, regardless of the energetic connection. They might not know what that is yet, but I can tell you that if the marriage is struggling, that room where the area of marriage and romance is located in your house is most likely the area that you neglect. It's the room that you shove everything into. It's the room with the leaky roof that you haven't dealt with. Is the room with all of the things your mother-in-law left you when she passed and you just didn't feel like, you just feel guilty and didn't want to get rid of them. There always is that mirror effect of what is going on in your life is being communicated through what's going on in your home. And so that's where the vision boarding comes in.
So let's first of all, I'm super fascinated by this, and I'm as you're speaking, I'm thinking about my own house. So as people are listening, they're like, this sounds interesting. Maybe I'll give this a shot. What would they start with? They would start with a tic-tac-toe grid, and would they just go into one room? Because trying to do the whole house all at once sounds incredibly overwhelming to me. And I'm sure that it sounds really overwhelming to everybody else. And they'll be like, I can't do it all at once. So where would they start? I mean, where would they pick the area that in their lives that they feel needs the most help or is the most neglected? Just guide us through, where would we begin? Hello, my dearest community. I am so excited to share with you that this week's episode is brought to you by Crossbreed Beverage, the trailblazing infused beverage that's turning heads and transforming moments. Now, first of all, I want to highlight that federal regulations designate that hemp is legal, but it is essential to check your individual state regulations. As we dive into the empowering stories and experiences on women in the arena, let's take a moment to appreciate our incredible sponsor. Crossbreed Beverage isn't just a drink. It's a revelation, a perfect blend of refreshment and elevation. Picture yourself sipping on this game-changing elixir while immersing yourself in the unique narratives and voices that make our community so special. Trust me, it's a match made in podcast heaven. So grab your Crossbreed Beverage. Join us in the arena and let's raise a glass to strength, resilience, and women doing extraordinary things in plain sight.
Yeah, great question. And I'll start by saying that anytime we concentrate our intention and our energy in one area of our life, the ripple effects of that fall into all other areas of our life. Typically, there's three different ways to get started, I would say. The first way is if there's a specific area out of all those nines in your life that you really feel like is the one you need the most support with. Maybe it's your finances, and prosperity is a thing that you really need to have support with now. Maybe it's getting a job because you're really focused on getting a job. Maybe it's fixing your marriage because something's got to give and you're at a point where it's either I'm staying or I'm leaving. Like if there's a specific thing in your life personally that's happening, start with that area. If there is a room in your home that it's just the one room that you really either have a genuine desire to make better and improve, let's pay attention to that kind of intuitive knowing that that room you really want to work on. Or maybe it's the room in your house that you just know something's got to be done because you've been procrastinating on it forever. One room. And then the third path is the path where you might not know where to start, but you're really, really curious. My suggestion is always start at the center, which is mind, body, and spirit, because that really encompasses everything in your life. So that would be the starting point for anyone that resonates with either option A, B, or C.
Let's start with one that's an obvious one because everybody will probably really resonate with this, which is money, because you would always
Yeah.
have more money. And, let's face it, the last year and a half has been probably challenging in that area because we were dealing with inflation and the rising cost of groceries, of gas. Everything has been more expensive, and wages haven't necessarily risen at the same rate that the cost of goods has. Walk us through what that would look like to redo the wealth area to welcome in more prosperity, or even maybe more organization in your finances?
Okay, great question. So, as always, with any of these sort of transcendental remedies for life, there's never a black and white answer. So, there's multiple ways to address that. The prosperity corner is usually a corner that relates to long-term wealth. Usually when we think of that area of life, we're thinking around, investments, we're thinking about up-leveling in our finances. So most likely if someone is struggling with money, like you feel like you just need to generate more money, generate more income right away, I would suggest working with two other areas first. And the first area typically is the career and purpose area, because that lets us kind of bring awareness to, are you enjoying the job that you have? Are you enjoying the work that you have? Which is a really powerful energy to manifest more money in our life. We might go into, are you really living your purpose? And are you being generous with what you give and the value that you give? Because that's a direct correlation to how much you're able to receive as well. And then another area we might work on is the daily flow of money. Like if we're just talking about paying the bills and getting that cash flow consistently, that area typically is the area of new beginnings. Now, because I know that a lot of people listening might not have the map right in front of them and they don't yet know what that area looks like, there's a few very practical things that they can start applying right now to bring that cash of money in. One thing is making sure that all your light bulbs in your house are working. Like how many times do we walk by the one little sconce and the one little lamp and we're like, dang, this thing doesn't have a bulb, and we just move on. And then day after day, we're like, there's no light here. This one's burned out. So checking all your light bulbs, great way to activate some money coming into your life. Making sure that you don't have any leaks in any of your faucets, sinks, plumbing, because that literally translates as money leaking and leaving your bank account. So paying attention to any leaks, gutters outside of the house working well, holes in the roof. That's a big one in Florida where I live. A lot of people have like holes in the roof from hurricanes and stuff. So fixing that is really, really important. And then activating a sense of prosperity is something that happens subconsciously. And one little ritual I give all my clients In fact, inside of my coaching program, this is a non-negotiable for all my clients in order to qualify for a guarantee in falling in love with their home and life with me during the time frame of the program, which is 9 weeks. And this non-negotiable ritual is having weekly flowers in your space, is buying yourself weekly flowers. And something really magical happens. That was probably the first kind of vision boarding ritual that I included in my life. And it's number one, this sense of abundance that we feel when we buy ourselves flowers, right? A lot of people feel like that's just for special occasions, or it's a splurge, they're too expensive, and it's like not a necessity. But when we invest in ourselves in that way and we just treat ourselves in that way, not only are we acknowledging that we are worthy of abundance in our life, but we are also sending our subconscious a message that there's beauty around us, because just looking at flowers instantly kind of creates a cocktail of hormones in your brain that makes you feel good. They're just beautiful to look at. And so that's one of the most powerful little prosperity rituals that you can also apply in your weekly routine to activate prosperity into your life.
Any flowers? Like, it doesn't have to be this big expensive bouquet. You can have grocery store flowers, and nothing against grocery store flowers, because a lot of them have really come up in the world and they're really beautiful. So it could be a really simple bouquet that you get at the store, or something extravagant.
Anything. It can be anything you want. It does not have to be some fancy floral shop bouquet. You could literally go to your backyard and pick a couple of flowers from your garden and put them on a pretty vase. Trader Joe's has amazing flowers for $2.99, $3.99. So it does not have to be opulent by any means. It's more of the habit that you are creating. It's more of the intention behind something you do repetitively, so that you're sending that abundant message to your subconscious and really embodying that feeling.
That's so easy. And at first, when you say it, I'm thinking, wow, that sounds indulgent. But on the other hand, anytime I have flowers in the house, it instantly lifts my mood every single time. So
Yeah.
does it matter what room you put it in, or just so you can see it?
Just so you can see it. I personally love having them in the kitchen, because that seems to be a place where I spend a lot of our time. And then, the ripple effect of that subtle transcendental energy is also being absorbed by everyone who's in the home. I have them everywhere. I have them in my bedroom. I have them in my bathroom. But if there is one place, I would say probably the kitchen or the entryway as well, because this is the space that kind of greets you when you walk into your house. And it also can't create this like symbolism of letting go and like leaving behind whatever energy I just went through. Like if you work outside of the home and you're coming back home, it's just like this transition point of I am here and this is a sacred space. I don't need to bring in all the negative energy that maybe I just went through outside in the world. So entryway is a great place for transitions, and then the kitchen just because it's typically the heart of the home.
So just to recap, 2 easy things to do: change all your light bulbs. Make sure all your light bulbs are working. Check for leaks. If you have a leaky faucet, running toilet, go get those fixed. Holes in the roof. Any holes that you might have in the roof, go get them patched, which just sounds logical, quite frankly. And then last, have fresh flowers in the home every single week. Non-negotiable, because that brings in abundance, it brings in beauty, and for me personally, it lowers my blood pressure instantly.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's studies around how, your cortisol levels lower when you look at flowers. There's studies around that, to the point where many hospitals have implemented having fake flowers just because they're not allowed to do real flowers in a lot of them. And there's all these other logistics, but it is a scientific thing that they just create a different way of seeing the world, and physically it changes your physicality. So it's an awesome thing.
So if we do all these things, what would we do next? I mean, I'm thinking of all these things like this. I could do this. I could do this stuff in an afternoon. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's encouraging and it motivates me to want to do more. So how
Yes.
would I do more?
Exactly. So I love that because typically those small little steps that we make create momentum for bigger things. And so that's why I always start with those small non-negotiables. Let's start with those small celebrations so that we can move forward. The next step I would say is probably releasing clutter and removing clutter from the home, specifically for money, but honestly for all areas of life. Clutter is literally keeping us stuck. There is so much emotional baggage that comes with clutter. There's a lot of just past memories, emotions, so much that it's just not letting us move forward. So because we're in a time in the world where consumerism is a huge part of our day to day, people have bigger houses, people have bigger incomes a lot of times, or at least more disposable income. There's credit cards and all the things that we did not have once upon a time. And then, of course, we also have Amazon Prime. So in just the click of a button, you can get so much stuff. We are inundated by clutter. I would say that is the number one thing that people struggle with in their home life. What is happening is that it's increasing our stress levels. It is stagnating our ability to receive, because when we have no space in our heart, in our mind, and in our home to receive something better, then it just doesn't come. It doesn't manifest. And so even when I do vision board workshops, like the literal workshop, we always start with a release. What did not serve me from this past year? What do I need to let go of? The way I address dealing with clutter in your life and your home and quieting your mind and your home is through taking honest, radical responsibility of where you are at and taking inventory of these areas of your life. Like if you were to say on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy and satisfied you are with your career, with your marriage, with your parenting, with your fitness, your self-care, all these areas, give yourself an honest reflection. And if you have anything that's under 4 or 4 and under, and I feel like 5 and 7 doesn't count because that's kind of like mediocre space. So it's either really bad or really good, but in the middle, like why are we even settling for that? That we need to pay attention. So that's from the life kind of perspective. In the home clutter perspective, we want to look at clutter in terms of clutter is a very subjective thing. Clutter is anything that you don't love, anything that you don't use, anything that you don't need. I'm not saying we all have to have these like minimalist spaces by any means. That's not what I'm saying, but I am saying you probably have more than you need, love, or use. And so how can we create room and release that so that more blessings come your way?
So clean out your closet.
Your closet, your kitchen, your garage is a huge one. Your bathroom cabinets are huge. Your closet, particularly, actually, clutter in the closet speaks of lack of authenticity in how you're showing up in your life. It also often speaks of just subconscious events, moments, situations that you haven't dealt with that you're just keeping like in a little box here without your addressing them. So yeah, clutter in the closet's a great space to start.
Is it too early to start this? Because I'm people are listening to this in January, but it sounds like to me that the earlier you start, the better, because then it frees up this this congested energy and allows you to be creative faster. Or am I just or am I hearing things? Am I jumping to conclusions?
No, you're not jumping to conclusions by any mean. I mean, at some point when you start working really closely with this energy map and the home and life kind of approach, what happens is you start walking your home with a deeper perspective of what's going on, right? So like now I know that if at any point maybe things aren't flowing so great in my relationships, maybe we are arguing more than we normally argue, or we're feeling like more disconnected than we normally are, it almost always tells me that something's happening in my room at that same time. And sometimes I don't even realize that this is happening in my relationship, until I walk into my room and I'm like, oh my gosh, this pile of laundry I haven't dealt with, these sheets I haven't washed in a while, these maybe vase of flowers that needed to be changed a couple of days ago and they're just kind of sitting there because I haven't had the time. You just start seeing the relation. And as soon as I clear that, maybe a conversation happens between my partner and I. As soon as I clear that, maybe a nice gesture of sitter for the kids, let's go have dinner tonight happens. Something shifts in my life when the physical space is devoted to and addressed and taken care of. Again, back to those non-negotiables. One of my non-negotiables inside of my program is decluttering, or I call it quieting because it sounds less overwhelming, for 15 minutes, where you literally are putting a timer for 15 minutes every day at some point of your day. It's a non-negotiable, and you're just going to address the junk drawer in the kitchen, the drawer in the bathroom, maybe the closet, in only 15 minutes. That's all I'm asking. It doesn't have to be a whole weekend. Maybe it's one cabinet in the kitchen, one little area for 15 minutes, and you will be so surprised in a matter of 15, 20 days, 30 days, how much you have released from your space and from your life, and shifts the energy so much with just 15 minutes.
Just 15 minutes. So you don't have to walk into your closet and go, I'm so overwhelmed. You can walk into a little piece of your closet and say, I'm just going to deal with this spot right here.
Absolutely, you can do that. Yes.
Like I said, doing these little things will motivate you to want to do the next 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes. And maybe you have an afternoon that you have available to you, and it gives you time to do your whole closet. If you're anything like me, when I tear my closet apart, it takes me all day, but that's because I'm tackling it all at once. But once it's done, I feel so much better. It's as if I've shed something or I've released something. I love giving away donations. It's amazing. Every time I clean out my closet and I'm thinking, there can't be that much in here, but there always is. There always is. And I ask myself this, is this doing me any good? And if it's not, is it doing any good hanging in my closet where somebody else could use it?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, somebody else can use it, in the donations it goes.
Yeah. And, I'm all about taking a full day to tackle a project like that. If that's the kind of person that you are and you have time for it, go for it. I absolutely love that. However, the reason I share the 15-minute non-negotiable is because, again, those small repetitive tasks become new habits. And then what I have found is that it's then a lot easier to sustain that nice clutter-free closet and keeping your space the way you want, as opposed to doing just a full weekend makeover and then a month later it's back to being cluttered and then you have to do it all over again. So when we create these habits, it's a lot more sustainable long term.
That makes perfect sense. And I'll let everybody into a secret that I like to do to help me motivate to do this stuff, because I also motivate my friends to do this. So my birthday is in June, and I always throw myself a birthday party. A couple weeks leading up to my birthday party, I ask all my friends that are coming, clean out your closets. Please clean out your closets and bring all the donations to my house on the day of my birthday party, because then I'm going to take them to a donation center. And then that's fun. It's
I love that.
because they're like, great, I'm going to clean out my closet and I'm going to a party. And that's what I do every year.
I love that tradition. That is a really beautiful way to encourage your friends, empower them to do that, and support someone who will treasure your trash. I always say your trash is someone else's treasure. So amazing.
We're cleaning out clutter. We're giving ourselves flowers. What's one more step that you can share with us that we can basically set ourselves up for success for the next 12 months?
I think one more thing that you could do to set yourself up for success is to create one corner somewhere in your home that becomes your own sacred space, to sit for 5 minutes and journal, to sit for 5 minutes and enjoy a nice cup of coffee or tea, to sit for 5 minutes and read 5 pages of a book that inspires you. I'm really, really big on self-development, and I have found that when you can choose one designated space for reflection, for falling apart if you need to, for celebrating if you want to, whatever the moment calls for, that one space that becomes your sanctuary is a must. So claim it. It can be a chair in a corner. Keep it pretty. Maybe your flowers go there. It's just like your one space that you claim for you to spend time with you. And again, that repetition of being in the same spot and doing the same thing over and over and over starts creating traction, and it starts to become memorized by not just your mind, but also your body. So to me, that's a powerful little ritual to have, and a beautiful corner of sacred intention in your home to have as well.
Could it be outside too? Because some people have very, very busy, noisy households, and the only place that they can find peace and quiet is outside on the patio. So is that okay too?
100%. 100%. The outside of your home is also part of the map. So I would be curious to know what area of the outside someone would choose, what area of life that designates to and is about. But absolutely, sitting outside, I mean, also being in nature is a wonderful way to recharge and to take care of yourself and your mental health and connect with Mother Earth. So I'm all about it being outside for sure.
Paula, thank you for, first of all, spending this time with me this afternoon. I'm super excited for the audience to hear this and to create opportunity and space for them for growth, for renewal, for additional opportunity. Because as you and I spoke before, I do not believe in this idea of new year, new you. I hate that message. I think that message is ridiculous because there is nothing wrong with you. You don't need a whole new one. You just need opportunity to improve. So I am certainly looking forward to doing all these little tricks that you've just taught us today, which, by the way, cost very little money. It could cost no
Yes.
money if you have flowers in your backyard.
Yep, 100%.
It could be minimal. You could change your whole life in just a couple of different steps.
Exactly. 100%. And I agree. I do not like that message of new year, new you either. I think 1% better each day is all it takes.
If the audience is intrigued and is like, I want to learn more about this. Paula, you got something here. I want to learn more from you, and I want to learn more about this creating a sacred space. Where would they reach you to get more information?
The best place to go is my website, sacredinteriors.design. And in there, you're going to find information around all my coaching programs and also my Facebook community, which is where I go live every week. And we do trainings on all Q&As from clients, from people who are interested in this kind of self-development and interior design world. So that's going to be the best place to go, sacredinteriors.design. And there's also a blog on there where you can find out how to create this energy plan for your home so that you can start kind of becoming aware of what area of life each room in your home falls into.
What I'll do just to make life easier is I'm going to take those links for your website and for your Facebook page. I'll link those in the show notes. So everybody, please go look in the show notes, and I will have those two links to those two groups, to our website and to our Facebook group. I'm really curious to watch one of your Facebook lives because I think that would be super fascinating and really interesting to hear more and learn more as we start to not only recreate opportunity in our homes, but also in our lives. So I'm very excited about that. Well, this is my favorite part of the show. Very, very favorite part of my show. Where is I get to step back from the mic and let you have an intimate moment directly with the audience without me interrupting. So, Paula, the microphone is yours.
Okay, this is really interesting. I like it. If I could spend some of this time with your audience to just share a message of inspiration, is to have the courage to look at your life, have the courage to look at your space with self-compassion, with radical accountability. And because we are co-creating our destiny in our life, what is not working in your life, be really honest. What do you want to release and let go from last year, from the last 10 years of your life? And what would you like to plant a seed for in this next 12 months? What would you like to plant a seed for even in the next 3 months? What does that look like? And pour all your heart, blood, tears, and energy into that one thing. Figure out where that area is in your home. Put all your love into keeping that area beautiful so that you feel connected and inspired to that vision of that one goal you have in mind. And then let me know how it goes, because I am so absolutely sure that when you take the time and energy to do that, something powerful happens and the universe responds to your call. So that's going to be what I'm going to leave you all with.
Thank you. I'm really excited and curious to hear what the audience's experiences are. So please pass them on to me as well. I really want to know, and I will pass on my experiences to all of you, because if this is a living, breathing vision board, I promise you, even to the greatest skeptics, which I was, vision boards actually work. So turn your entire home into a living, breathing vision board. And please let us know, because we definitely want to hear your experience.
100%.
Paula, once again, thank you very much for being here and sharing all of this amazing wisdom and information with us, and allowing us to create a new path for us as we co-create, as you said, a destiny that is worthy of us.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you for listening. And we'll see you again next time.
This is just the beginning.
That's our show. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your unwavering support and your continued belief in this movement that has become much bigger than me, much bigger than just a podcast. It has become this forward momentum that we are all doing together. If you are ready, or you know somebody that is ready to tell your story and share your value with the world, please connect with me. You can reach me at audra@womeninthearena.net. I am so honored and thankful that you will share your story with me, and I'll make sure that it is well taken care of. I will never stop thanking each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week as we share another woman's story and we celebrate her doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We'll see you next time.